My name's Ron Peter. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Um, Initially found out about Viva through our home church when we lived in Kelowna, BC. Our church was seeking a missions project to be partnering with, and they sent a preliminary team down, and they liked what they saw and the work being done here, and we carried on from that point.
Awesome. So describe your first experience in coming to visit Viva. What was it like for you when you came the first time?
Not really knowing what to expect. It's hard to describe. Like, yeah, you have all sorts of emotions running in and out of you. As to what are we going to be able to do here as a group, as an individual, and is it really going to make a difference? Once you arrive here and you see what was already accomplished here, and seeing the love they have for the love for the people, with the children's home at Casa Esperanza, being a rescue home, it affects you personally. Once you start dealing with the kids, the families that Viva is working with, it changes your heart. You want to be able to bring the kids back with you, and then to see how much we have to how little they have here, and how in ways they're content with what they have. It's a humbling experience. And just seeing the dedication and the love the missionaries that are here have with the work that they do, you just want to help them. And for me, as long as I'm able, and Lord willing, this is part of my life. As to coming to Central America, into Guatemala, into Central America, this would have been my 14th trip. To Guatemala, for Viva, this is my 13th. And I would say one of my memorable trips would have been about 7 years ago. We went to visit a little church out in a cornfield, out in the middle of no man's land. They just had some wooden posts with some corrugated steel on the sides and a makeshift roof. And they were grabbing power from some house across the cornfield. And they love their music when they worship God here. And seeing how much of an issue it was, they just had one plug outlet that was basically held together with electrical tape falling apart. I had no idea where they were getting power from, but they were set up to have hydro. And my friend saw me looking around this building, and he says, "So what's up?" And I said, "Well, you and I are coming back here tomorrow." And the pastor was, I asked Kim Wheeler if I can come back? And he said yes. And we just finished building a home up at Village of Faith. We had spare supplies. And we went back and we set up lighting and plugs and, for him to be ready to be hooked up for power. And he was just crying. He couldn't believe that we'd come back to help him. And as an electrician, working on electrical, you're supposed to shut off everything and work on everything safely. But everything was dark already, and the pastor asked if I can add a light on the outside of the building, and I had everything running inside. And I went to grab the grounds. I'm standing on an aluminum ladder, and I was sweating away, and I got a shock of my life. My partner had to throw the ladder away for me to break the circuit so I can get freed from it. And I'm like, wow, it was quite the experience. But just the experience of the pastor, seeing him gave him faith, gave him hope that he's not alone in that little part of the world. And the look on his face just said it all. And there's so many, but just like today with Pastor Fidel, just up the road. What turns out to be a stove install turns into being a commitment from the team. Spending several days at Fidel's home, just helping him to cleaning the home, to setting up some proper lighting. And as a pastor, they have to support their own family, and then to give him a little better electrical for his baking equipment. They were so appreciative, and it's a real humbling experience to see. And it's just hard to break down to a single event. And then like with two of the girls that grew up at Casa Esperanza, they're like, to me, they're like my kids. With Stefania and Sonia. And when I come back down here, it's not like, it doesn't feel like a year's gone by. It only feels like a short period of time. It's like just been away for a weekend, And then, yeah, they're my girls, and they know it.
Ron, you did such a great interview. And the last question that I have for you is, if you had anything that you wanted to say to anybody who may not know what Viva is or what they do or why it's important, or not even any of those, just if there was anything on your heart that you wanted to say about anything, your experiences, anything like that, the floor is open for whatever that you want to say to people that may watch this later on. Just encouraging words that may be put in throughout the video, here or there, just something that you may want to say that you feel like needs to be heard.
For those of you that, don't, I wouldn't say not believe in missions, but know of missions, may contribute to missions, but personally have not experienced being on a missions trip, regardless if it's for Viva, another organization. You'll never know how it hits you right here. You're changed. And if this doesn't change you, then nothing will. This is as real as it gets. And you want to see God at work? Be part of a team. You'll never be the same.